The year was 2013. President Barack Obama is sworn in for his second term. The Boston Marathon is bombed. Detroit files for bankruptcy. And George Zimmerman is acquitted in the killing of Trayvon Martin. The last event gave birth to the hashtag Black Lives Matter and the global movement that followed. But who exactly started Black Lives Matter, and how did it become such a cultural phenomenon? In 2012, 17-year-old Trayvon Martin was walking back from a convenience store when he was shot and killed by George Zimmerman, a member of a neighborhood watch who thought Trayvon Martin looked suspicious. Zimmerman claimed he shot Trayvon in self-defense, and he was not initially arrested or charged. After public outrage over the killing grew, Zimmerman was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter. But in July of 2013, after 2 days of deliberation, a jury acquitted Zimmerman. Outraged by the acquittal, Oakland, California resident Alicia Garza posts a message on Facebook that contains the phrase Black Lives Matter. Patrice Collars, a friend of Alicia, responded to the post using the hashtag Black Lives Matter, and a movement was born. Alicia Garza, Patrice Collars, and Opal Tomety used the name Black Lives Matter to build a network of community organizers and racial justice activists. But it wasn't until 2014 that the movement garnered some national attention following the killing of Michael Brown in Ferguson and Eric Garner in New York by law enforcement. Ferguson became a center of dramatic demonstrations and clashes with the police. Black Lives Matter organizers went to Ferguson and St. Louis, another center of demonstrations. Afterwards, when organizers returned home from Ferguson, they took the inspiration to form chapters of Black Lives Matter in their own communities. Organizers from 18 cities did so, broadening the reach of Black Lives Matter. Today, there are over 40 chapters across the world, making BLM a massive member-led global network. Then came the explosive year that was 2020. Following the killing of George Floyd, BLM crossed over to popular culture in a massive way, with major companies and organizations using the term to stand in solidarity with the movement to fight racial injustice. According to The Economist, between May of 2020 and December of 2020 alone, donations to Black Lives Matter related causes amounted to $10.6 billion. This money is not directly raised by Black Lives Matter, however. The Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation reported raising $90 million in 2020, most of which were funds from individual donors, with an average donation being around $30. Since the inception of Black Lives Matter, the movement has faced several backlashes. There are those who accuse the movement of being a Marxist movement funded by radical leftist donors. Others criticize BLM for what they claim is divisive rhetoric and the weaponization of identity politics. Of course, Black Lives Matter has been massively criticized for being anti-law enforcement and led to the creation of the hashtag Blue Lives Matter. There is also the massive backlash to the defund the police movement that sparked following the death of George Floyd. And then there's the criticism of the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation from individual chapters, accusing the foundation of not sharing resources fairly and for not having, quote, an acceptable internal process of accountability. Right-wing media took advantage of this fracture to go after Black Lives Matter even harder. The criticism of known figures in the BLM movement mismanaging funds also became a hot topic. Although Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation sits at the top of the BLM movement, individual chapters organize locally to hold law enforcement accountable and advocate for justice and equality in their local communities. As a movement that was intentionally structured to be leaderless, the long-term effect these criticisms will have on individual chapters that make up the global movement is yet to be seen.